Hello there everyone, so let's go into another third age campaign. In this case we're just gonna go for the overview of Breland. Of course I'm also fighting or playing the campaign of Breland, so I already know a little bit of the details, but still I would like to give you the overview of this. So basically, I never start with the introduction because it will provide me some problems. Let me lower, I've been here quite some time, so it's getting cold here. Hopefully you're still hearing me. Yeah, it seems so. Bree, you actually start with two enemies that you have to defeat, which are Dunland and Angmar, in opposite directions. So basically, you start with those enemies, and as you've seen on my campaign, of course, Enidwaith will attack you very soon, but you'll have to go against Dunland, and you have to go against Angmar. Whichever you choose, I chose to let Northern Dunedain hold the northern border. By the way, I would like to tell you that if you try to get the cities, it will be difficult. I think they can take them really fast, and they're not really that good. They don't provide you with a lot of income. So, in all honesty, just let Northern Dunedain be your border against Angmar. And maybe for some reason the Orc factions are actually very keen on getting ceasefire, so try to get it as fast as possible. Now, it requires 30 regions, including your capital, their capital, and the other capital. This has changed a lot because people were annoyed by trying to get some other um, places, and sometimes it will be from an ally. I had a lot of campaigns where people were asking me, why am I conquering this place? Why am I betraying the elves? I'm betraying the elves because I have to. It's the victory condition relies on me capturing that place. So that happened. I could pay for it. I could bribe that, but it's never my style. I prefer to show some fights. Now we start with 3 enemies, and one of them is on the north, and the 2 are on the bottom. You've seen on my Breland current campaign that it causes some trouble, some back and forth, some ambushes, uh, uh, some difficult decisions because it's a very lengthy area, so you'll need a lot of spies that you can't actually have early on. So you will be surprised. You will have some forces coming in on your places really fast. Now, a good thing about them is that you start with a very good safe start. And there's a lot of changes that can go on. I mean, Angmar, for instance, on my campaign, Angmar is not doing any progress against the Northern Dunedain. It can change. I mean, nothing. Can you imagine if on the turn, for instance, I believe on my campaign, I'm like on turn 80, if they would already be attacking you, then it would make a very different campaign. So I think this campaign with Breland actually has a good replay value for you guys. Now, military, you actually have some decent mercs, some decent mercenaries. I'll explain why I consider that. Pretty much, you start, just some bandits, but they're not really high in upkeep. And then you get better units as you go down in order to replenish. I mean, you get some spearmen on Dunland and stuff. So, it's good that you start with some mercenaries that will help you out. Basically, you're gonna be able to use these militia troops for just sieges, just for basic arrow fodder. They will be the guys soaking the damage. And you don't have access to a lot of good units early on. You mostly have militia types, so I kind of think that they fit their role. You just need some basic infantry units. Go for it. Go for that. Now, you start with basically early militia, and the late game army is actually average. I'm going to tell you about that late game army. No, here. I don't think I can actually show that. Oh yeah, I can show. So the Watchman Axe Guard. So basically you have everything that you need. An effective against armor unit, a basic sword unit, an archer unit, and you also have the Gatekeepers, which is even another one. So you also have some spearmen who are not figuring here for whatever reason. So basically you'll have one of each unit that you require. And you also have something that they usually didn't have, which are good, no, good cavalry. I mean, this is medium cavalry. It's very expensive, but it's still some usage. Your bodyguards are also
Yes, my
very
lord.
good, so you kind of
Your
have
orders, my lord.
to go with that. Now you have very good upkeep. I'll explain because you have so many forts. I mean, you start with so many forts. I've yet to use these forts because I was thinking if I would man them, that would cause the remnants of Angmar to maybe attack them. But you still have like one, two other forts. You'll have a lot of them here and there. So this is actually over here. I don't think you have, but you'll still get forts like there's one here throughout the campaign. So you will be able to get the less upkeep issues. Um, you also have this fort, which is perfect. I mean, pretty much you've seen me on my campaign that I just make sure that no one is getting upkeep on this area, which is awesome. You can get like 12 units without any upkeep uh, if you do things right. So it's good. In terms of finances, it's actually a very easy start because it doesn't require you to get a lot of units early on. I mean, the basic stuff that you get
Yes,
is
my
pretty
lord.
much enough to take the early stuff. You still start with these guys, and you can move in just some hobbits there to help. You also start with some decent, you also start with some decent generals that will help out on that. So pretty much, I believe it's one of the easiest starts that I've seen. Unless Angmar becomes a problem, you will have no problem at all with this start. Now, the big problem. You have good early finances, but it only if you
Your
manage
orders,
to
my lord.
micromanage everything properly. As in, don't purchase too many units early on. Purchase only the units that you really require. You know, you can always go for a Hobbit army. I mean, you have basically one of each type of unit that you need with these guys. What sheriffs are excellent at doing what I've done with them, which is to spread them in a line before your archers so that the initial infantry hits them and you're just hitting your own sheriffs with the archers and they just get to throw all their arrows at them, which is, you know, it's a strategy. I've used it effectively on my campaign so far, and I like it a lot. Of course, you can have others. You can have the pikemen there in the front of the line. Just making sure that they have someone to hit that they can't destroy immediately because the enemies that you start with don't have very heavy hitters like cavalry units. So that is actually good. Now, you actually have good starting generals. Most of them
Yes, my
have a
lord.
special ability. This guy is actually a gatekeeper unit, so come on. You're gonna get an effective against armor unit with inspire nearby troops, skilled against mounts, range unit. Of course, it has very high upkeep, but you can avoid that very easily most of the time. And you also have uh, cavalry generals, which are really cool. This guy is also a Dunedain bodyguard, so a very effective archer unit. So basically, you have everything that we need. They only have weak stars, by the way. I mean, the best general that you have is the 5 stars. You have like 2 5-star generals. You do have one general on each one of these places, uh, but 80 turns in, and none of these places have grown yet. They're just here to provide a basic income. That's it. You do not have any starting agents, which is annoying, but you can get the possibilities of getting a spy and a diplomat. Of course, the biggest problem is that this means that immediately you will not be recruiting any units. You'll just recruit these 2 guys in order to check how things are going. If you can man these forts early on and take advantage of this, you'll probably be able to always muster a huge army in case anything happens, and you're still going to be able to get some conquest. Of course, you can always check my campaign just to see how things are going and to have some other ideas. But this is basically my overview of Breland. One of the easiest campaigns that I've seen. Just make sure that you use the lumberman effectively. The woodland hunters, they're really cool. I like them. Don't be discouraged by this 3-3. It's the missile attack that matters and the fact that they have good range and high accuracy. This high accuracy makes everything. You also have some decent early units in the Dunedain Blade Masters and the Dunedain Rangers. Should recruit these guys as fast as possible. And in terms of upkeep, this is one of the big things. I already spoke about the forts. It's not just that. Most units that you start with are militia type units. They won't cost too much upkeep. There's a lot of units that won't cost you over 200. Even the bodyguards are inexpensive by other
Your orders,
means.
my lord.
So yeah, it's basically one of the easiest campaigns, but it can have some different outcomes in the early game, as in if Angmar destroys Northern Dunedain, you will have to face two enemies at once. Maybe you can go the other way around and go to Angmar first. That'll be your call, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Any questions, feel free to ask me on the comments if I forgot anything. And yeah, basically that'll be it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next overview. Next one would be Northern Dunedain. Bye bye, guys.